So
clarify that.
you have traveled. So you've traveled to Azerbaijan and Georgia. That was in your FBI report, although you just said you've never traveled.
Sir, I thought you were referring.
What you just watched is a United States Senator, Trump's own nominee to lead the Department of Homeland Security, get caught in a lie, on live television, under oath, within the first 3 minutes of his hearing. But here's what makes this even more explosive. Markwayne Mullin had been bragging for years about secret military operations overseas, about smelling war, about classified missions, about going places he can't talk about. And today, Senator Gary Peters walked in with the FBI report, and Mullin's story fell completely apart. I'm going to show you every single exchange, from the first lie to the moment Peters asked the one question Mullin had absolutely no answer for. Stay with me. This is one of the most damning confirmation hearings we've seen all year. Let's set the stage. March 18th, 2026. Senate Homeland Security Committee, Washington, D.C. Markwayne Mullin, Republican senator from Oklahoma and Trump's pick to replace the fired Kristi Noem as DHS secretary, sits before the committee for his confirmation hearing. Now, most nominees come prepared. They've rehearsed every answer. They know what's in their own FBI background report. But Markwayne Mullin had a problem, a big one. For years, Mullin had been dropping hints in interviews, cryptic soldier of fortune-style comments, suggesting he'd done secret work overseas. Things like, "There's another side of my bio that I don't ever talk about. I had to go do something overseas." Or, and this is the one that came back to haunt him today, quote, "War is ugly. It smells bad. If anybody has ever been there and been able to smell the war happening around you, taste it, feel it in your nostrils. It's something you will never forget." Senator Gary Peters walked into that hearing room today with every one of those quotes printed out, and the FBI report that told a very different story. And within minutes, Mullin was drowning. Peters didn't waste a single second. He opened by reading Mullin's own words back to him. 3 separate public statements where Mullin implied he was some kind of covert operative. Did you catch?
Senator Mullin, you have made several public statements suggesting that you were involved in special security forces or combat operations overseas. In 2023, you said in a Senate Republican Conference podcast, and I'll quote, "There's another side of my bio that I don't ever talk about, nor will I. I had to go do something overseas." On March 2nd of this year, you told Fox News interview, quote, "War is ugly. It smells bad. If anybody has ever been there and been able to smell the war that's happening around you and taste it and feel it in your nostrils and hear it, it's something you will never forget." On March 3rd, in a podcast interview, you stated, quote, "I did special assignments outside of DOD, now DOW. I never wore the uniform or the flag on my shoulder, but I might have been in the same area." Your statements in public interviews and your responses to the committee are, quite frankly, confusing, and they are inconsistent. And I'd like you to clear this up. You're under oath. We can clear it all up right now. And first, I'd like to ask unanimous consent to enter into the record my letter to you on March 11th and your addendum to the committee of March 12th regarding any...
Did you catch what Peters just did? He didn't ask a vague question. He showed up with receipts, 3 separate public statements. Then Peters went straight for the jugular. No.
Special assignments.
Without objection.
So my question for you, sir, is before your time in Congress, other than on vacations with your family, have you ever traveled to a foreign country?
No.
You've never traveled to a foreign country?
Outside of vacation or mission work? No.
Jugular. No. His answer was no. He said it clearly. He said it twice. Keep that locked in your memory, because 30 seconds later, the FBI report proved that was a lie. Okay, this is the moment. Watch Gary Peters catch Mullin in the lie, live, using Mullin's own FBI report. There it is.
Okay. Have you, your FBI report does show some travel. I think it was to Georgia and Azerbaijan. You marked that was not for tourists.
Are you referring to August of 2021 when we went to go get the Americans out of Afghanistan?
I'm just
That's
saying.
what that travel was for, which
Okay.
we did
So you
clarify that.
You have traveled. So you've traveled to Azerbaijan and Georgia. That was in your FBI report, although you just said you've never traveled.
Sir, I thought you was referring to a different time, but in 2021, it was well documented. In fact,
Okay.
it was all over the news, and I actually did say that, and we put that down on the report. But that was us, which was all over the news, trying to go with a
Okay.
extremely experienced
No,
team.
I've got other questions.
report.
Thank you.
There it is. In real time. Under oath. Caught. He said he never traveled overseas. Then 47 seconds later, when Peters showed him the FBI report, suddenly he remembered a trip to Azerbaijan and Georgia. And his excuse? I thought you were referring to a different time. That's not a clarification. That's a man scrambling. That is the
So where did you smell war?
Sir, I just said that this was classified, and the dates, locations, and admission, I've never spoke specifically detailed.
That is the moment. Peters used Mullin's own brag. I smelled war. I tasted it. I felt it in my nostrils, and asked him to simply say where. And Mullin had nothing. Just, it's classified. The man who spent years hinting at secret combat missions couldn't answer the most basic follow-up question a 6-year-old could ask. Let's break down exactly what happened, because this is bigger than just a bad moment in a hearing. Point 1. Mullin lied, then claimed he misunderstood the question. He said clearly that he had never traveled overseas outside of vacation. The FBI report showed he had. His excuse was that he thought Peters was referring to a different time. But Peters asked a simple, open question with no time limit. There's no misunderstanding there. That's a man who got caught and needed a way out. Point 2. The classified mission excuse is a red flag, not an explanation. Mullin says he went on a classified trip in 2015 to 2016 as a sitting member of Congress, with only 4 people read in. He says it was official, but here's the problem. The committee specifically asked him to disclose all relevant activities, and Mullin chose not to mention it until the FBI report forced it into the open. That's not how classified trips work. That's how cover stories work. Point 3. The bragging doesn't match the classified defense. You cannot spend years telling podcasts and Fox News audiences that you smelled war and did something overseas you can't talk about, and then suddenly claim it's so classified you can't even confirm where you were. Either it's classified and you stop hinting about it, or you own it and explain it. You cannot have it both ways. Under oath. And Peters wasn't done, because there was one more issue, and this one involved American citizens being killed. Let that sink.
After DHS officers shot and killed 2 American citizens this past January, you joined top administrative officials in publicly blaming and disparaging the victims. Following the killing of Renee Good, Secretary Noem called her a domestic terrorist. You, sir, you called Alex Preddy, quote, a deranged individual that came in to cause max damage. Could we expect those kinds of quick responses if you are confirmed as secretary? Would you be basically, well, you responded as Secretary Noem. Are we going to just expect that same behavior all over again?
No, Senator. I have a deep amount of respect for you. We've had our differences, but I do respect you. I think I said this privately when we had a conversation. Those words probably should have been retracted. I shouldn't have said that, and as Secretary, I wouldn't. The investigation is ongoing, and there is, like I said, there's sometimes going to make a mistake, and I'll own it. That one, I went out there too fast. I was responding immediately without the facts. That's my fault. That won't happen as Secretary.
So you regret that statement?
I already said that, yes, sir.
Would you want to apologize to the family of Alex Preddy?
Well, sir, I just said I regret those statements.
Killed. Let that sink in. 2 American citizens were shot and killed by DHS officers. Before any investigation, before any facts were confirmed, Mullin publicly called one of the victims, Alex Preddy, a deranged individual. And when Peters asked him to apologize to the family, Mullin said he'd apologize only if he's proven wrong. Not because a man is dead, not because a family is grieving, only if the investigation tells him he has to. That is the man Trump wants running the Department of Homeland Security. So what does all of this mean? Markwayne Mullin just told the United States Senate, under oath, that he never traveled overseas, then corrected that answer 47 seconds later. He claimed a classified overseas mission from 2015 that he never disclosed until a background check forced it out. He refused to say where he smelled war after years of bragging about it on podcasts. And he won't fully apologize to the family of a man his own words helped publicly smear, without even waiting for the facts. Gary Peters said it directly. We will want to find out more information. It's important to have the truth here, and that you are portraying yourself in a truthful way. That is a senator telling a nominee, we think you're lying. And Mullin's performance today gave him every reason to. The committee is not done. Peters announced a second round of questioning. And based on what happened in round one, this confirmation hearing is far from over. That is the full story of what happened today in the Senate Homeland Security Committee. A Trump nominee for one of the most powerful positions in the country, the man who would control ICE, CBP, TSA, FEMA, and the Secret Service, caught contradicting himself under oath within the first 3 minutes of his hearing. I've linked the full footage in the description so you can watch every second yourself. If this video helped you understand what's really happening in Washington, hit the like button right now. It takes 1 second, and it helps this channel reach more people who need to see this. Subscribe and hit the bell, because this committee is going to a second round of questioning, and when that drops, you are going to want to see it immediately. Drop a comment below. Do you think Markwayne Mullin should be confirmed as DHS Secretary after today's hearing? Tell me what you think. I read every single comment. I'll see you in the next one.